Hey everybody, April Henry back again for another of my live Facebook videos that I'm doing every day at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every weekday. I also post them on my YouTube channel, April Henry, and my website, which is called aprilhenry.com. Today I thought I would do something fun. I am going to talk about what to do if you are being followed. First, I want to talk though about adrenaline, what you should know about it. A lot of this I got from a class I took called Urban Escape and Evasion. It's a 3-day, extremely intense class that I took in Los Angeles. I was the first writer to take the class. So, adrenaline is meant to help you. A small amount does, but too much prepares you to die. You can actually feel when your adrenaline hits, it feels like a rush of warmth going over your body. In the yellow zone, it's a high risk, threatening situation. You're able to analyze and you have good blood flow. But once you start creeping into the red zone, where your heart is beating about 115 beats a minute, you're in the combat zone. You have slowing awareness, slowing cognitive functions. Your brain wants to control your body through its limbic system. It doesn't want you to analyze, it wants you to react. And you have strong physical abilities. Now, the gray zone is where you start getting into trouble. Your heart rate gets even higher, 145 to 180 beats a minute. You start losing motor skills. Your body, because it senses danger, pulls blood away from your limbs back into your core, so your hands kind of become more like clubs. You're unable to load the magazine of your gun, you're unable to dial 911. You might even ask, what is the number for 911? Because you're not thinking clearly anymore. You have auditory exclusion, so you only focus on one thing, and you have tunnel vision, so you can only focus on one thing. So if there's a gun, you're going to be looking at it, you're going to be hearing it, you might not be looking at or hearing anything else. Um, the black zone is where you lose even gross motor skills. It keeps you from doing something stupid, basically. Your thinking skills are gone, you have submissive behavior, freezing, you might urinate or defecate, your body goes into shock, basically. So when your hands start shaking, that's when you know you're in the gray zone and you need to get it under control. Um, the second sign is your knees are going weak and getting wobbly. The antidote to adrenaline is oxygen. You need to breathe from the belly or start doing 4 count breathing. 4 counts in, hold for 4 counts, 4 counts out, hold for 4 counts. Um, that will start bringing you down into the red zone where you have at least a little bit more control. Adrenaline also is going to mask a pain response. So you may not be aware at first that you're injured. You're literally, at some point, when you're more safe, going to need to look for holes, leaks, broken bones. So, another thing that I'm going to be talking about today is what to do when you're being pursued. So, nature has programmed us to freeze because predators react to movement. However, movement is life. Movement improves your situation. Movement may keep them from doing a good job of restraining you. If someone is shooting at you, a stationary target is easy to hit. Movement indicates initiative, and whoever has the initiative wins the battle. When you assume a defensive position, you're lost. Lock yourself in a closet, it might be a sign you've lost. So, what should you do if you're being followed? That was the second thing I want to talk about today. So, if you're in a car, determine if you're actually being followed. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Observe the car as you continue to drive. If the car remains behind you, take 3 or 4 turns in a row to see if it continues to follow you. Then signal a turn in one direction, but quickly turn in the other direction. See if the other car turns as well. Once you're certain you're being followed, get on a highway or drive to an area that is very populated and active. Do not drive home to a deserted place or down an alley. You're more likely to shake your tail in a crowd than in a deserted area. Um, One other thing you can do is to drive at the speed limit or a little bit slower. Soon, another car, just that of a random person, is going to attempt to pass you, at which point you speed up and hopefully they give up and pull back in behind you. Um, So what you're doing is, if you keep doing this, you can start building up some cars between you and your pursuer. Um, you can try slowing down at an intersection with a traffic light and then accelerate right after the light changes. That could be dangerous. It also might lead to the cops pulling you over, but hey, if the cops are there, that's good because your bad guys aren't going to be there. Um, when you have if let's see, once you're out of sight of your pursuer, pull into a parking lot, a garage, or a shopping center, someplace with a lot of other cars. If you still haven't lost your tail, drive to a police station and get help. So if you're on foot, determine if you're being followed, and there's several ways to do that. One is to vary your timing. You could jog, you could slowly amble, you could take a different route, see if they're doing the same things as you. Distance. If you go a long way and you see the same person in two different places, that's another sign. Um, Geography, vary around where you are, from a hotel to an industrial area to the promenade to a college area. If you see them twice, it might be a coincidence. Anything more than that, it probably isn't. Um, you can try if you're not worried, you could try like going to a convenience store, getting a newspaper, going to a coffee shop, sitting down with your coffee and reading your paper, go to a dry cleaner, just go to different places and see if somebody follows you. Um, Take a random path, make unexpected changes in direction. At an intersection, retrace your steps, effectively making the pedestrian version of a U-turn. Um, it also makes sure not to get yourself disoriented or lost. And start noting to yourself, identifying characteristics of the person you think is following you. But also do not look back at them. That's going to tip them off that you are noticing them. Try and use reflective surfaces like the window in a store to see if you can see them behind you. Stay in crowds. Do not head for home or down an alley or to a deserted place. Once you have discovered them, you have three choices: use them, lose them, or abuse them. So, use them is disinformation. So, that would be probably not a situation that a civilian is going to be in, but say that if they think you're a spy, you might kind of disinform them by um, taking a dry cleaning deposit slip and stuffing it in the garbage, giving your newspaper to a stranger. Um, what Losing them is probably something that's more would be something that you would happen to you. Is It's aggressive stance. It's time for you to go. That thing of running into the back of a restaurant really works. Uh, Go to a large office building, take the elevator up to the eighth floor, take the escalator back down. Um, Once you've lost them, you need to take off your appearance and abuse them. Is again something that might not happen unless someone is following you, kind of like as an industrial spy. Is just to kind of kill a bunch of time, go to a day spa, get a pedicure, waste their time, retire them to follow you. So to lose them, again, going out the back door, buying a ticket, entering for a movie, entering after it started, and leaving through an emergency exit. Use mass transit and then get off as soon as the doors start closing. Um, Walk to, obviously, try and go to a police station. Never head for home unless you're certain you're no longer being followed. Um, be aware. If you're in a public place with people you can trust, you might want to confront them if you don't think they're dangerous. Uh, Say you're being followed and ask them why, but you only should do this if you feel like it's not dangerous. So if you do manage to escape someone and you're on the run, your chasers, your pursuers are going to be looking at your eyes and your shoes. Everything else is easier to change. People usually don't have the ability to change into a different pair of shoes. But if you can, get a different pair of shoes and wear sunglasses. If they know how you walk, try putting a pebble in your shoe or tying something around your knee underneath your pants, anything that will require you to change your gait. Um, Walk with other people so you look like you belong to them. If there's a large group, try and tag onto the edge of it. Especially if you're a woman, you're not going to get challenged about this as much. Um, Figure out what the baseline of your surroundings is and then match it. Um, can you add something local that you just ran into a store and bought so that you're not wearing American clothes? I mean, if you're someplace where Americans aren't, look and see how the people there do things. Like if you're in Europe, Americans eat with their fork in their right hand, changing back and forth when they use a knife. If they're using a knife, Europeans are going to keep their fork in their left hand. Um, Americans go downstairs like horses. Da 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 da. Europeans are da 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 da. Europeans tend to stand on both feet. Americans often stand with their weight on one foot or the other. Americans smoke between two fingers, and Europeans tend to smoke between forefinger and thumb. So, um, if you're thinking that there's a place where you're going to need, if you know in advance that you think you're going to be followed, you can carry a backpack with like a change of clothes. And once you get into a crowd, you can slip off your shirt, being the t-shirt underneath that you were wearing, put on a different shirt, uh, take, put on some sunglasses, put a hat on, just do something where you can quickly change up your look. And you want to do it in the middle of the crowd so they don't realize that you did it on purpose. They just think that they lost you. So those are some tips I've gathered from my writing. And when I did that urban escape and evasion class, um, we were on the run for 7 miles. Took us about 3 hours, being chased by 10 hunters. And my companion and I managed to change our appearance and change how we looked and how we acted, so that we at different times we walked past the people who were looking for us and they didn't notice us. So that's the end of my video. I'll be back talking about writing again next week. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.